up, everyone? Hope we're all doing well. Weili versus Joanna Jedrzejcyk. The first fight, was it a robbery? Of course, this is the series what I've been doing recently, where I score close fights and deem whether it was a robbery or not. And just before we do get started, guys, let me know in the comments of more fights what are considered robberies or close fights in general that you want me to do these videos for. I thought I'd do a Weili fight, considering that it's Weili fight week with her taking on Valentina Shevchenko at UFC 322. But anyways, let's stop fucking about and get straight into it. Now, the event was UFC 248, which was headlined by Israel Adesanya and Yoel Romero, which of course was an absolute fucking stinker. But the co-main, Zhang versus Joanna, was an absolute banger. Now we get to the first round, and the first minute for the fight, both women were trading leg kicks, some landing, some missing, but about 1 minute deep, Joanna lands the first big shot of the entire fight as she lands a nice 1-2 that sends Zhang going backwards. Then we get to about 2 minutes deep, and both women crash into each other, landing scrappy shots in the pocket, but Joanna lands a nice inside leg kick at the end of their exchange. Other than the leg kick, nothing lands clean. Halfway through the round, Zhang lands a nice right hand on Joanna, and Joanna's able to land a couple of leg kicks as well. But then around the 2 minute mark, Joanna is able to land a nice right hand, but Zhang, a few seconds later, is able to land a nice counter right hand to Joanna's jab. We then have a good moment for Zhang as she blitzes and lands a left hook that Joanna doesn't like. But then 10 seconds later, they crash, and Joanna lands a nice straight right and a left hook as well. With 1 minute left of the round, Joanna attempts a front kick to the face, but Zhang evades this and is able to land a counter straight right. With 30 seconds left of the round, Joanna throws another front kick, which Zhang actually catches and lands a straight right with a nice body kick to end the exchange. And then in one of the final exchanges in the last 10 seconds of the round, Zhang is able to land a nice left hook in the pocket. And at the end of the round, the ball's already gone. Keith Peterson's got in between these two fighters. Joanna actually lands a jab as she doesn't hear the bell, which leaves Zhang really puzzled and like, what the fuck's just gone on? Zhang's team comes in and starts pointing at Joanna as they're clearly pissed off, and Joanna's like, no, I didn't do it on purpose. But for me, a very close round, a great round. I forgot how much volume is a part of this round. Both fighters having a lot of success. But I'm going to give this round to Zhang. If you give it to Joanna, I can understand why, because of the sheer volume, and she does have her moments. She's very consistent with the leg kicks as well. Zhang lands her own leg kicks as well, but nowhere near the amount that Joanna does. But I give this round to Zhang. I think Joanna starts off very strongly, but as the round progresses, I think Zhang was landing the biggest strikes and the more significant strikes throughout the entire round. So I give this first round to Zhang. Now, I've just finished round 2, and fuck me, lads. How am I meant to keep up with this fight? There is so much going on and it's so competitive. I can see how you score it either way. But regardless, in round 2, we get the first exchange of the round 15 seconds deep, where Joanna lands a glancing right hand, and then 10 seconds later, they crash again, where Joanna is able to land a nice right hand. Still in the first minute, we see Joanna land a nice inside leg kick that sends Zhang off balance momentarily. Then a few seconds later, they crash with nothing landing clean, really, but Joanna lands a clean outside leg kick to end the exchange. 1 minute deep, we get another crash from both women, where Zhang lands a clean left hook inside the pocket. And then around the 3 minutes and 30 seconds mark, Zhang shoots for a takedown, but Joanna's able to stuff it really easily, and then she clinches up with Zhang and pushes Zhang up against the cage. After a couple of knees in the clinch from both Zhang and Joanna, Zhang is able to reverse the position and have Joanna's back up against the cage. Halfway through a round, and Joanna lands a nice knee in the clinch, but Zhang responds with a big elbow that leads to Joanna exiting the clinch and going to the center of the octagon. A few seconds later, Zhang lands a clean straight right counter, and just a couple seconds after that, lands the biggest shot of the fight so far, where she lands a massive 1-2 that visibly shakes up Joanna up. Whilst Joanna's trying to circle away, Zhang thinks, fuck this, lands a massive Sparta kick to the chest of Joanna. Just a few seconds later, Zhang clinches up and lands a couple of knees to the body and gets her first takedown of the fight, when she's able to get a nice trip on Joanna. However, Joanna's able to get up from this pretty much instantly. Around the 1 minute mark, Joanna's able to land a jab, but is met with a right hand counter from Zhang. And then 30 seconds later, Joanna's able to land a nice clean 1-2. But then we get to the last 10 seconds of the round, and this is where Joanna lands a massive front kick to the jaw of Zhang, and then straight after lands a headbutt on Zhang as well. And what pissed me off about this exchange is that Joanna lands a massive front kick to the jaw of Zhang. It's very clean, but the commentators don't really react to it. I think John Anik does, but Joe Rogan and DC just switched off and don't react to it at all. And I do feel like that plays a part of the judging for a lot of fans at home. And then to end the actual round itself, Joanna initiates the clinch and she lands a load of knees. I give this round to Zhang. It's, again, a very hard round to score in my opinion, because Joanna also has a lot of success. She starts very good and ends it really good, but I just feel like Zhang did so much in that middle part of the round that it kind of just takes everything away. I think she was a lot more significant. I think Joanna was really busy again, but I gave this round to Zhang. I wouldn't be mad if you gave it to Joanna, but for me personally, I just liked how Zhang was able to land that straight right a fair bit. She did good in the clinch as well, and just simply landed the biggest shots of the entire round in my opinion. And now we get to round 3, and the round starts off on fire straight away as Joanna lands a nice 1-2, but then 10 seconds later, Zhang lands a straight right as Joanna lands a jab. 20 seconds later, the roles are reversed as Joanna lands a nice straight right as Zhang lands a jab. About 40 seconds into the round, Joanna enters the pocket to land a combination, but Zhang catches her with a big lead uppercut. We then get to about a minute deep into the round, where both women meet in the center, where Zhang lands a nice elbow on the inside, but Joanna finishes the exchange with an outside leg kick. Then a few seconds later, Joanna is able to land a clean straight left, and same happens again just shortly after when Joanna lands yet another straight left. The success of the straight left from Joanna continues as she remains in southpaw and can't stop messing with it. Halfway through the round, and Joanna splatters another left hand on Zhang's chin, and then a few seconds later lands a front kick to the body of Zhang. At the 2 minute mark, Zhang initiates the clinch where she doesn't land any strikes, but shortly after is able to get a nice trip for the takedown. Joanna does a good job of getting up straight away, but Zhang again gets another takedown, yet history repeats itself as Joanna gets up again straight away. About 20 seconds later, they're back to striking where Joanna throws a front kick to the body, but Zhang is able to catch it and lands a straight right. Zhang then gets a takedown from this, but surprise, surprise, Joanna shoots straight back up. Just past the 1 minute mark, Joanna lands a kick to the chest of Zhang, which leads to seconds later Zhang responding with an inside leg kick. With 30 seconds left, both women exchange with Joanna getting the best as she lands a big straight left. Then not long after, they exchange again, where Joanna catches Zhang with a short jab. To finish the round, Joanna lands a push kick to the body of Zhang, sending her up against the cage, and then it ends with both women clinching. This round, in my opinion, is probably one of the easier rounds to score. Zhang still had a lot of success, but I give it a 10-9 to Joanna. I thought she did, you know, I feel like she would usually start and end decent, and Zhang would take the middle parts, but all throughout this round, I feel like she was fairly consistent, and I would give this round to Joanna 10-9. Now, I've just finished watching round 4, and surprise, surprise, the round is a fucking banger. The round starts off with fireworks as both women have a couple of exchanges, but neither of them really land clean. But then around 15 seconds deep, Zhang is able to land a nice straight right. 30 seconds in, Zhang lands another straight right, but Joanna responds straight away with her own straight left. A couple seconds later, both women engage where Zhang lands a nice left hook that hurts Joanna. Both women crash again where Joanna lands a nice jab followed by an inside leg kick. Then just past the minute mark, Joanna lands another jab again. Shortly after, Zhang lands a nice lead uppercut that lands clean on the growing swelling of Joanna's forehead. Then seconds later, Zhang lands a nice left hook, which leads Joanna responding with a knee to the head of Zhang in the center of the octagon. 10 seconds later, both women engage again, but Joanna lands yet another knee to the head of Zhang. At the 3-minute mark, Joanna lands a lovely head-body-head combination, landing a jab to the head, straight right to the body, and then finishing the combination with a jab to the head. Not long after, Joanna goes on to land a lead high kick to the chin of Zhang, followed by a check left hook seconds later. 3 minutes into the round, both women throw shots, but Zhang catches Joanna with a clean left hook. Around the 2-minute mark, Joanna lands a straight right, but Zhang responds with a counter right hand. Then a few seconds later, Zhang lands another big straight right. 30 seconds later, the exchanges continue as Zhang lands a left hook in the pocket, but Joanna responds with a big elbow, which then leads to Joanna clinching up with Zhang and going up against the cage. The clinch is then separated a few seconds later as Zhang lands her own big elbow on Joanna, but then a few seconds later, Joanna is able to land a clean straight left. With 20 seconds left on of the round, Joanna is able to land a nice long left hook on Zhang, and then a few seconds later, to finish off the round, she lands another short left hook on Zhang. For me, this round, I had to give it to Joanna. I thought the combinations were good. I thought she was very consistent. She landed her own big strikes as well. Again, like every other round, Zhang had her moments as well. But for me personally, I think Joanna was a lot more consistent. You could possibly argue that Zhang had landed the bigger strikes, but I think Joanna had a good mix of volume as well as her own big moments in this round, especially when it came to the knees. The knees were really good of hers, and that clean straight left kept on landing as well. So it's a 10-9 round for Joanna in my opinion. And now we get to the 5th and final round, where I currently have it 2-2, so whoever wins this round wins the fight in my opinion. And how do we start this round off? With a nice embrace by both women, hugging each other to start off the round. But then we get back to reality as both women land left hooks on each other at the exact same time. 30 seconds later, both women engage again, where Zhang is able to land a short left hook, and then another 30 seconds later, Zhang lands a straight right, but then Joanna is able to land a lead kick to the body. A minute into the fight, Joanna is able to land a right hand to the jaw of Zhang, and then 10 seconds later, both women, like before, land clean left hooks on each other. Zhang then lands a left hook, and a few seconds later lands a right kick to Joanna's body. About 20 seconds later, Joanna says, you know what, I'm gonna land my own left hook, and it lands clean to the Zhang's jaw. However, a few seconds later, Zhang says my left hook is better than yours, and lands one of their own very clean on Joanna's chin. Then around the halfway mark of this round, Zhang lands a clean straight right to the face of Joanna. This leads to Joanna coming back straight away with a combination, but is met with a left hook by Zhang. Not long after, Zhang lands a straight right, and then Joanna lands a straight left. We then get to a minute and 30 remaining, where Joanna lands a straight right and Zhang whiffs a left hook. With 45 seconds left of the round, Zhang is able to land a left hook on the chin of Joanna, but then a few seconds later, Joanna returns with her very own jab. And to close out this round, a very competitive round, a brilliant round, we have the last significant strike land, where Joanna lands a nice spinning back fist to the head of Zhang, and that's how the round in the fight ends. Now, how did I score this round? A very hard round to score in my opinion. I did give it to Zhang. I thought she was quite consistent, and I thought she landed the biggest strikes. Now, the biggest strike of the round in my opinion was that spinning back fist in the last 10 seconds, but overall I thought Zhang landed cleaner. Yeah, Joanna throughout the entire fight through a lot of volume, but for me this was a 10-9 round for Zhang. So now it boils down to the question, was this fight a robbery or not? I don't think that this fight was a robbery. I got the exact same scorecards as the judges, 48-47 for Zhang Weili. Now, even though I don't believe this is a robbery whatsoever, I can see how you can score this for Joanna, because every single round in this fight, in my opinion, pretty much every single round, is highly competitive. It's so hard to score this fight in my opinion, because you got Joanna, who also lands big shots, but she's more of a volume striker. But Zhang really is landing the biggest strikes throughout the entire rounds in my opinion, and that's why I did give it to Zhang. I gave her rounds 1, 2, and 5, and Joanna won rounds 3 and 4. But I feel like you could make a case for either woman for pretty much every single round. But how did you guys score this fight? Did you give it for Zhang? Did you give it to Joanna? If you haven't watched this fight, please bless yourself and go and watch this fight, because it's not only one of the greatest women's fight of all time, it's definitely number 1 as the women's greatest fight of all time, but I think it's one of the greatest fights in MMA, period. Just completely like this is one of my favorite fights of all time. A brilliant fight. Let me know how you scored it. Give me some more suggestions on other fights I could score in the future. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.